Hi, this is Attila 16 and this is another guide of Wargame Red Dragon, and in this case I'll be showing to you all the rationale around Motorized Pact deck, and in this case the only restriction I put was Motorized. So I do have access to most of the unit of every factions for the Pact, but only those which are part of the motorized aspect of things. And motorized is something which is mostly about movement, of course, and infantry and vehicle usually. So let's start with presenting this deck, and after that I will illustrate to you in a replay how to use it. So let's do this. So first of all, when it comes to logistic, pretty standard thing here. You don't have any heavy tanks, so instead I rely on that SPW60S mobile APC, I suppose, command vehicle. It's very fast, it's amphibious, it goes at 150 on road and 80 km an hour off road. So that's reliable. It has a little armor which might make it able to survive a little to nearby artillery strike. But it's mostly because of the speed that I'm using it. Then I use infantry with the cheapest transport possible. Because with the infantry you'll mostly use the roads to move around, and once you unload the infantry, the vehicle can be useless. You can have another approach to this. You can, instead of, for example, here you could choose the OT 64C, which has missiles, so you could use that vehicle after, but my opinion of most troop transport that you have available in the motorized deck is that they are too light, and there's very little benefit to use them in combat anyway. So that's why I'm opting for the cheapest transport possible. Doesn't matter which command infantry you use, and I think you just save your money with a bad transport essentially. Okay, when it comes to supply, I'm using that VLKV T813. This is a supply vehicle which carries 1,700 liters of supplies. So you usually don't need to call that many of them around, and they will be able to refill a good portion of your army. So sometimes I just call 2 at a time for specific areas, so that I don't end up losing them to enemy artillery fire or airstrike. Since these logistical vehicles are good targets, and they have a tendency to explode also, so you don't want that to happen. So I use that. I don't use any FOB because the motorized deck doesn't rely that much on supplies. You mostly rely on units which don't consume that much, and that's why I don't think you absolutely need logistic, and in many cases you consume so little that if you rely on somebody else logistic FOB, they probably won't even notice. So I don't think this is not a deck which consumes that much supply. So infantry, I'm using the North Korean B Bang Chung Po. Yeah. So this is a unit which has that recoilless rifle anti-tank. What's cool about this unit is that this anti-tank also has HE power, which make them able to fire at infantry. As a result of this, while the range is not super far, it's able to defend itself against both vehicle and infantry, and it will stun the infantry. It will be very effective at that. And as a result of this, I think this is a very useful unit, especially if you're fighting ambushed infantry, because you'll be able to engage them from afar, and you won't waste your vehicle in pushing forward. So this can be a very good combo with recons and that kind of stuff. And they can do the role of a vehicle with their recoilless rifle. So, for example, if you have many enemies in wood and you know that they are either ATGM or that kind of stuff, with this you'll be able to snipe them with the anti-tank weapon. So, and instead of exposing potentially a tank which will receive a missile, this is a much smaller risk to use these. So I think this is a very reliable infantry for that kind of task, and they're also good for defensive, as I said. Okay, I'm using the FGB 40. In this case, they serve as a good all-roll unit. They are elite infantry, and they are not that good against infantry. I guess they're able to fight pretty well, but ultimately the more regular or elite enemy infantry will beat them. But what's fun about the FGB 40 is those Strela, which make them ideal to support an advance in town. So these troops are really useful for that specific purpose, and they will also be able to destroy enemy vehicle. So this is a good unit. It's also very mobile, so you can scout around if you want, and it's a good complementary force, and you can have them with elite level of experience, which make them very effective in whatever they do. Of course, they are not to be used that much in town as fighting force, but they're especially good at supporting other elite troops in capturing towns, because they will keep choppers away and vehicle as well. I'm using the North Korean Higla, and this is the best anti-air infantry because they have a good range against chopper, 2.4 kilometer, which is very long for infantry, and the accuracy is 55%, which make them very effective at killing anything that flies by. Also, I'm using them with Arden experience. And here for these anti-tank, also Arden, because the thing is that I mostly designed these deck toward being good in 10 versus 10, and I think it's more important to have experienced infantry in that case, because you don't have so much ground to cover. Other people can back you up. So here I use the Peter Conquer M, and I use them with Arden level of experience because they are ATGM, and it goes with the logic I had just a moment ago. So these units, that means I only have 4 of them for a single unit of that. But the thing is that the Conqueror, if you look at it, 23 AP power, that means they can usually single shot any enemy units. Also, you mostly use them in small group. You probably don't want to group them up too much because the enemy artillery will likely kill them. So you just spread these 4 units around, and if you put them in good position, they will probably pay off in destroying much more expensive units than what they are. And with the experience, they will likely hit also. So this is a very reliable unit. Also 6 missile, you can kill some very expensive tank with this. Here I'm using the North Korean Yuk Jeon Da 90. So this is pretty much my shock troop. They will be, well, they are elite actually. So these guys, they're good at CQB, so close quarter combat, and they are elite, and that makes them very deadly. They will kill everything. And also with their anti-tank, this one has 19 AP power. That means they can likely destroy nearly any vehicle which will come nearby. So this unit stats is really good, and they are usually worth their cost. So they'll be able to deal with anything, and they'll be able to clear out a town and using them in a group of 2 or 4 would be very effective. So I use 2 groups of them, elite. So it's a very good striking force. Okay, support. I'm using the HQ7, which is a Crotal, good French. This is a Chinese unit, and for the same reason I'm using that in the French deck, or the Euro core deck. This unit is really fast, first of all, and it has 4 missiles which are really good against choppers. So for an initial push or an area where there's a lot of choppers, this will be a very effective unit to use. Also, it's pretty good against plane. Also, it's fire and forget. It's infrared missiles, only has 4 of them, but usually you'll be able to kill whatever is around. So the best thing to do is usually to use them in a group of 2. Because of the rate of fire, they might actually end up out of ammo very quickly. So you might want to spread them around so that they don't all waste their ammo on one single target. Okay, here I'm using the OSA AKM, so it's Czechoslovak anti-air. This one has really good stats, good rate of fire compared to a buck or a cub, and it's radar guided, which make it potentially vulnerable. I'm giving it the highest level of experience I can. It costs 75. It's a good vehicle, very mobile. And that's the kind of unit that you might want to use in moving into an area quickly, that you know that there will be airstrike coming, and be able to dispose of those airstrike very well for the future, essentially. Here, HQ61, that's a Chinese anti-air, very long range, complementary to the OSA. Not that expensive. I'm not sure if it's that good, but it does the job. Then here I'm using the Dana. So the Dana, it's pretty good. Good HE power, reliable, and good rate of fire also.
Disconnected.
And that will probably allow you to dispose of any kind of static infantry vehicle. The dispersion is pretty high, so it's actually a good thing, because sometimes with the movement, having a too good accuracy doesn't help, because you will miss the target if it's moving. So having a good dispersion in many cases can end up being a bonus. So that's why I think this unit is probably adequate. Tank. Since this is a motorized deck, you don't have access to that many tank. And when you look at it, it's mostly T55 and the T55 derivative. On the other hand, what I'm using in this deck, which is rather surprising, is that North Korean Shin Hung. And this is pretty much an APC, which is converted into a kind of tank. And this has 2 front armor and side armor, which is very low. But what's interesting about this is that this costs 25. It has 4 missile, so 4 is not that much. But this is a missile. This is a type of missile actually that, if you were to use the vehicle version for that missile, which will have more ammo, but the same stats, it will cost you 30. So this means that this tank has vehicle capacities of anti-tank missile, but on top of that you have a cannon, and that cannon can also kill both vehicle and infantry. And actually this is a very surprising unit to me, because when you look at the stats, it's not exceptional in any way, but it turned out to be probably one of the most reliable unit in this deck, which is really surprising. So I will invite you to give it a try. And also those missiles are really useful as long as you keep them supplied with those logistic truck at the beginning. You can probably gain from it, and this is not that expensive, so you can take risk with it. Okay, Recon stuff, Mi-24K. So this is the Russian, pretty reliable chopper, exceptional optic, a good Yak-B machine gun or cannon, I'm not sure, with a lot of rockets. Doesn't have missile, but this is a very reliable Recon, and it can suppress the enemy pretty good as well. Mi-9 in case the first chopper fail, so backup plan with optic, which is exceptional as well. ZTQ-62I. So this is a Chinese Recon. I think the Chinese are pretty much the only one which have a tank as a Recon. This is surprising that this tank actually is a Recon. And as a result of it, it's actually a pretty good tank. The stats are not good. 5 front armor, which is very light. 3 side armor, 2 back armor, 2 top armor. The cannon only does 11 AP power. So when you look at it, it's not particularly amazing. But when it comes to moving forward, well, even their stabilizer is not good, but the optic is good, and this can be crucial because in many cases, if you're advancing forward, well, it's very likely that you will be facing infantry, which is concealed, and as a result of this, you might want to spot them as fast as possible. And with this tank, you're able to. You will lose a few, of course. But just the fact that you have the capacity to spot the units faster and longer with a good optic allows you to really push forward. And if you support it with other proper vehicle or tank or infantry, you can actually really hurt the enemy and advance, which is something that is usually difficult. Because really advancing is tricky in this game, especially if you play destruction. By advancing, you're risking losing your stuff, and with this unit right here, sure, you will lose a few of them, but you'll have the capacity to kill even more in some case. Okay, the vehicle. So BRDM to Conquer M. This is a very deadly vehicle. It has 10 missile, 23 AP power. So this is the range is 2.6, which does allow you to fire a missile or 2 prior to being completely detected by the enemy. So if you have an open space, this is a very reliable defensive vehicle. You might even be able to use it to advance, but that's usually more tricky. So this is very good. PTZ 89. So this is a Chinese vehicle. I will compare this to literally a sniper. When you look at the stats, the armor is not that good. But if you look at the range, this is a very this is as far as tank cannon goes. So 2.2 kilometer. The accuracy is 45%, stabilizer 5%, which means that this is mostly a unit that you'll use in a static mode. But the AP power is 20, which is actually very high. So this tank here, or vehicle actually, is a true tank killer, and even has 3 HE power. So this is an extremely good unit, and it should not be underestimated. Despite having pretty light armor. The Sturm. So the Sturm is pretty much since the beginning of Wargame a really good anti-tank unit. very long range with the missile, 2.8 kilometer. So if you have a super long open field in front of you, you deploy this and you'll be sure that whatever shows up there will be destroyed. 20 AP power, that's pretty high. And of course the armor is pretty low. But this is a very good unit, not that expensive either. So all these, they cost 50, 50, and 60. So it's a bunch of very good vehicle. Helicopter, I'm using the Mi-24 VP, which is the best chopper you can use with this motorized restriction. What's good about this one is that, first of all, it's called an Mi-24, and many people end up underestimating it. So it's just the transport or something like that, and they don't realize that this one actually has some very good missile, 20 AP power here and a range of 2.8 kilometer, which make them very effective at killing everything. Also has rockets, so they will suppress infantry and vehicle, and good cannon here also. Not ideal to fight enemy choppers, but it's okay. So this unit used a group of them with max experience, and they are really deadly also. It costs 100, so it's think well before calling them into a danger zone. But very reliable, and those missiles are really good. Also use an Mi-2URS, which are air-to-air choppers. Also has an auto cannon. This is a good unit to open the fight at the beginning and chase down enemy choppers. You might be able to kill quite a few, or at least distract their anti-air defense for a while. They're not that expensive, but they are useful early on. Air units. So here I'm using the MiG-27K. This unit has 2 fire and forget missile with 30 AP power, which make them a very good tank killer. And usually they will be able to fire both missile in one run. They will likely be able to get out of the situation because they have 30 ECM. And sometimes they are even able to shoot down the enemy anti-air that are shooting at them as soon as they have a visual on them, so it's kind of surprising. A very good unit, and they have a tendency to survive, so that's a good thing. MiG-29M, what's interesting here is the cluster bomb, of course, so you'll be able to bombard some static enemy defense and hurt them quite a bit, especially if they are vehicle. They also have R-77 Vimpel missile, which are fire and forget, so that make them an acceptable air-to-air unit. But of course, it's probably better to be focusing yourself on air-to-ground stuff. MiG-29S, so that's an additional cluster bomb strike. These ones don't have as much firepower for the air aspect. They only have infrared, which make them actually potentially able to shoot down choppers. But I will never risk such an expensive plane for that purpose. Good accuracy though here. But it's really the cluster bomb that are the main interest here. Then I'm using the Chinese G7H, so traditional 1,000 pound bombs, very deadly stuff, 20 HE power. So these fighters are really dangerous to the enemy. They might not be that good to survive, they don't have ECM. So it's mostly a unit that either you call in when you know a situation is safe, or you call in with the knowledge that you will likely lose the unit, and you must be ready and willing to lose it. So if the situation really calls for an airstrike and you're willing to sacrifice it, and you know that the payoff will be greater, then you use this. So very deadly thing. I use also the G7C with 2 bombs, which means that there's less accuracy, I suppose. It will be less deadly than the single 1,000-pound bombs, but also it's complementary to the G7H, and you use them with the same kind of rules. I guess perhaps if you're more unsure of the survivability of the plane, this one might be a better choice because it costs less. So that's why you use that. Now the Navy, which we still don't have at this point, I use the best ship with missiles with the maximum amount of experience. So I essentially use these. But at this point there's no real purpose in explaining anything about this. So let's go back to the deck. And this is it. And now I'll go show you how I use this in a battle. Okay, so this will be the replay of a game I did play with the Motorized Russian, well actually Pact deck. So this is a replay where I start on the left side. I will say that the Motorized is probably better in the center, but I guess this game was a good illustration of how to use this deck nonetheless. So in this round I actually had a player which is named Bruce, which did help me quite a bit into securing the left side. And at the beginning what I did is I did rely on my choppers mostly. You can see here that I'm using Mi2 URS as well as 2 Mi24 VP. I'm also bringing in my HQ7, which are very mobile, so they are a good complement if you want to ensure air superiority. So that's a good unit to use. I'm bringing my tank, which are the Sin Hung, or something like that. So 2 group of them. And my ally did bring a couple of air-to-air choppers as a complement here. And also command infantry and a chopper, some Neva which are anti-air, some PGZ which are also anti-air. So at the beginning we were really hoping to secure the area against enemy danger. So you can see here these are Chinese anti-air that my ally is using. They're intercepting the links. Not sure what those links were carrying, but it was a great news that they were gone. My ally is landing his chopper there. It's really important at the beginning in this map to capture the side, because you will be able to bring reinforcements. And you can see just with the amount of anti-air we had that we did not really care much for enemy vehicle, because the reinforcements coming from Paul will be able to deal with that. So moving in with my anti-air here. Sadly there wasn't that many chopper coming in, or fortunately, not sure which one is the most appropriate. So my HQ7 did not show their worth yet in the fight, because they would have if there was an enemy chopper rush. While my tank here are progressing forward. I'm scouting a little with my Mi-24, and I noticed a lot of enemy choppers, so I pulled them back. These are anti-air choppers, so dangerous for my Mi-24 VP. I'm pulling back these. And the enemy did manage to, or will manage to secure that zone. Now, seeing that there was so many chopper, I sent in my land force, so HQ7 leading the way with the tank. And since there was likely mostly choppers there, you can already see my HQ7 killing those air-to-air choppers. But you can already see that 4 missiles were used for 2 units here. So you can see that those missiles are really going away quickly. So by using 2 groups, I'm managing to clear enemy choppers over there. Now the danger here is the few infantry Milan. Fortunately, my tank managed to take care of that. I moved in my Mi-24 forward. That took care of the infantry in that forest. Sadly, at that point, they captured this area. And they called in reinforcements. But because of the range of my Mi-24 VP, I'm able to kill those MX-30 with the missiles. Proving the worth of those Mi-24. While here my light tank are shooting those MX-30B. Some Roland are coming in over there. That could be very dangerous. Fortunately, my allied chopper took the hit, allowing my Mi-24 to kill those Roland. There's a kind of exchange of fire with the anti-air, but the Roland are really expensive, and they probably are one of the best anti-air that NATO can have. Well, here I'm not too sure how much resistance is in that forest there, so that's why I'm not particularly eager to progress forward. And that Milan fired on and destroyed one of my tank, which was he was destroyed then by my choppers. Well, here my Mi-24 are low in ammo. I pulled back this one because it was completely empty and damaged. Now, for some reason, I decided not to pull back this one. That's probably a mistake. Now my tank are engaging those MX-30. You can see the amount of chopper up there. That just indicate to you that there might be a lot of infantry. Or maybe I already took care of them. At that point, I wasn't sure. I'm keeping my HQ-7 nearby. Now here you notice that they're trying to sneak around with those transport choppers. I'm sending my Mi-2UR to react to that, to intercept. Now these German troop transport they don't have any air, well, they don't have any machine guns, so they are unarmed. So they are easy prey for my Mi-2. And they tried to land their force here. I'm sending, I did call in my Recon Mi-24K, which is now suppressing those chopper with the help of my anti-air chopper over here. Just dealing with them without them ever being able to land their force. And these were troops that were 30, so probably Fallschirmjäger that were in there. So 30 points per plane. Here I'm even calling G7 for 1,000-pound bombs, which sadly it does not do an effect here, but that will have dealt with, well, that will have destroyed any enemy infantry that will have survived. Here my tank are clearing out this forest. They did kill a command infantry unit in there, but you can see fairly early on in this battle I'm already in control of that zone. I'm calling in my command vehicle to the zone because it's really fast, so there's a benefit to this. And it can go into a forest to hide very quickly. One advantage of the HQ-7 anti-air is that the enemy did send a seed plane, but they did not meet any radar, so they were unable to reduce my radar defense. Well, here I'm leaving one Mi-24 there damage. I'm repairing another one. At that point, since I'm the first player in the list that joined the server for the Pact, I received a few T-34 from somebody that left. So I did receive a lot of these, which other player told me, oh, please stop them, you will just go waste them. So I did, and later on I spread them out just in a kind of defensive position to prevent the enemy from sneaking by, but I had no plan to involve my attention in the center. Because that's the thing in this game, if you're neglecting your attention to where you're actually fighting, you can end up losing very valuable units. So you need to focus your attention in your zone, and in 10 versus 10 it's even more important than in smaller rounds, because there's much more players which can end up seeing your vulnerability and exploiting them. You can see that there was some fighting in the center. In my case, here I was unsure. I wasn't looking at what happened there, but we were wondering if it had been taken care of, and of course it was. While here my tank had come all the way from our spawn, so I was a little concerned about fuel supplies, and also I had suffered a lot of loss in terms of tank. So it was a question of rebuilding my strength. And also, the further you push into the rear of the enemy, the stronger will become the resistance. So I wasn't too hurried to move into that zone. While the enemy, in their case, were very, well, they were enthusiastic about sending some Milan potentially to intercept our troops here. Fortunately, my ally did move his Chinese tank in the forest to intercept, but it was an actual good move on his part. I think my ally, the Bruce, he did complement my force very well. So here I'm just spreading around my T-34 that I received without really hoping to ever use them. Okay, here I have my tank, which kinda illustrate their weakness to autocannon. Because they don't have much armor, they are vulnerable to such things. So this can be very dangerous. Also, there was a striker hiding there. So even if I had a lot of troops attacking, seemed to be very dangerous. Alpha jet are bombarding the place. So we had a couple of good tanks. My ally did have those Chinese tanks, which are actually pretty good. It's just that I did not have anything to support him. So I was calling in some tank here, some infantry. Actually, where's the infantry here? Okay, right here. So since I saw that there was a will of resisting there, well, first of all, I saw also that there was some choppers here. So I sent my own chopper to deal with that. These were free kills, and in a destruction round that can be important. And the enemy did not really pay attention there for a while. While here, since I knew that they will likely invest resources in strengthening this area of the battlefield, I decided to instead come into this zone here and secure it. So sent in my elite infantry forward, supported by my tank not far in the back. Also moved in my anti-air closer over there in order to potentially intercept enemy air support. Here I brought some supply units. You can see my HQ-7 shooting down those Alpha jet. And also here with the movement to destroy those chopper, I kind of risked my own chopper a little too much. Because they had to go all the way from our spawn to there, and they ran out of fuel, so that was a bit of a waste on my part. I probably should have refuel and rearm. While here you can see my MiG-29 shooting down everything. So he had at least 2 kills before getting shot down himself. I also received an Su-27 which was sadly destroyed by those very good air-to-air planes over here, Rafale and that kind of stuff. But they did their purpose of shooting down the enemy attack planes. But I guess wasting an SU-27K probably was a miscalculation, but I'm not sure. I might have received these planes while they were already in there. Anyway, we'll never know. But my goal here was to reduce their air presence. Because look, here my ally did move forward, and as a result he received a lot of bombardment. There was Milan 2 shooting at him, which my own tank, which were a little higher, had an angle on, so they did kill those Milan vehicles. Those Milan vehicles can be very effective because they have a good AP power and they are small, so they can conceal themselves. But at that point my focus was mostly in figuring out where the command infantry will be, making sure that this complex of building will be cleared. And there was a few SAS here. So by securing this area, first of all, we will gain some angle on enemy jets, so that I will increase my presence of anti-air over here. You can see another kill by my HQ-7 there. So also that will increase the amount of score that we're making to buy units. My ally here was a little neglecting, so he wasted a few Mi-8. I don't know if he had any infantry in them. But that's one risk. When you have troops in the back of a zone, people have a tendency to interpret, oh well, that zone is clear. Well, it's not. That forest is still a danger. Okay, here I did move my HQ-7 because the enemy were harassing my remaining chopper there. Sadly, the main issue with the HQ-7 is that sure, it's amazing, but it ran out of ammo very quickly, so I had to pull back very quickly, and you can see here how they are killing my fuel-less choppers there. It would be nice sometime if I could just evacuate the crew. Here I'm advancing my tank, resulting in a bit of an issue. As you can see, they're killing my poor little tank. But it's 25 points each tank. But I probably should have work on preserving them nonetheless. Not sure what I was doing now. Okay, yes, okay. I was trying to finish off those chopper over there, so I brought in more Mi-2 because those chopper were shooting my own chopper. At this point in the battle, first of all, I had the goal of securing this area, and having this plateau, I will be able to bring in heavier anti-air. Which will ultimately serve me into preserving our attack on that side from enemy airstrike, or at least ensuring that the enemy attack will be destroyed and never will come back anymore. Now, in response to our push on that zone, they brought in some chieftain, some anti-air as well. So the chieftain, I dropped some cluster bomb with MiG-21S, so that did not kill them, I think. No, it did not, but that did hurt them quite a bit. They also brought in some Chieftain 5, which received a few missiles from my Sin Hun. So they ended up into a kind of crossfire. While here with my infantry, I moved in into, while knowing that this place will be clear, I moved in closer to hopefully be able to deal with the enemy vehicles there, because my light tank will just not be able to deal with those Chieftain. Chieftain are pretty good tank. They are not that expensive, but they are very heavy. So now my elite troops are killing all that stuff. On top of that, they had the opportunity of shooting the enemy in the side and from the front as well, but let's see what kind of stat these have. 19 AP power, so that's a lot of AP power. Here I'm just dodging the airstrike, facing some Fallschirmjäger. Moving in with my tank on that side, hoping to hopefully find the command vehicle over there. While here the main challenge is that sure you have the upper ground, but the difficulty in actually bringing tank over there is that you end up having too many people seeing you when you're on the high ground. I can see a presence of Alpha Jet again. Now those links, I'm not sure if they had troops in them. Doesn't seem so. But the adversaries decided to waste them, underestimating my Yuk Jonda. So on that side here, the enemy choppers were dealt with, while here my issue was mostly the supplies of my HQ-7. I did an airstrike, no actually my ally did. And here, finished off the command vehicle, it seems. Yeah, it was just a small vehicle. Bringing in a command vehicle to replace it, mobile one as usual. But here's the challenge of this area is, sure you have a plateau, you have higher ground, so ultimately you can think that you'll be able to clear out anything over there. So like my ally is trying to do now. But the danger you have is those small line of trees in which there's very likely enemy tank, and these will be able to fire at you before you'll fire at them, because if the enemy deploys stuff in those line of trees, for example, your tank will have a tendency to fire at them first, but then as they get close to the border of the plateau, these will have the first shot at you at very close proximity. So putting very inexpensive tank here can end up being an extremely effective strategy. On top of that, you're really close to your air support, so this is why here you can see I'm bringing some supplies vehicle. And here I'm actually calling a lot of my Recon tank. As you can see here, they will appear later. So these, the Chinese tank I told you about. So what I'm doing right now is, first of all, increasing my anti-air presence here, building up a force to push into that zone. So those Recon. I'm bringing in my HQ-61. What's interesting about the HQ-61 is how you, if you hit one time a plane with those missiles, it's very likely that it will kill it. So you only have 2 missiles, but if it hit, it kills most plane. So HQ-7 here. Bring my tank here to resupply and rearm and repair. I have a valuable combat air superiority patrol here by the Bruce. I think he really did play well in core, well, in a good combo with me. Even though we were not communicating much. He brought the right asset at the right moment. So here my force is building up. I'm bringing more supplies for my anti-air here, because I know that as soon as I'll bring as soon as the enemy will see my tank going into the zone, they will bring airstrike, certainly. So I'm literally establishing a position of anti-air defense, not so much to stop the enemy airstrike, but mostly to make sure that they will never come back, so to kill them. Because it's clear that it's very difficult when you're the one attacking to destroy the incoming enemy airstrike. So what you can do is mostly ensuring that they never come back after, so that sure they can bombard your troops, but they won't be able to do it again. And also those Chinese Recon, they are so inexpensive that it is a type of unit that you can use in rather large number, and you can afford to lose even in large number. Now look at the difficulty I was telling you about. As soon as my allies show up on the border of that plateau, as soon the enemies start open fire and kill them. Okay, so here I actually did kill, I think these were rolling. They were concealed in the back. They actually did kill a few of my planes. And now the enemy is also reacting to me. Or actually reinforcing, because now they probably are aware that there's a danger there. One of my Sin Hun is actually killing, well, shooting the FOB. Here there was a command in vehicle, I think. And now you can see my Recon, first of all, spotting everything, which is very important. But also dying, but killing, of course, everything which is light. So, moving in for the kill. You can see now the enemy airstrike, which I told you about and I was expecting. And they're now being killed by the large quantity of anti-air we have here. So, that pays off. And the planes work much more than those Recon tank. And you can see also that those Recon tank are actually doing a good job right now. Chieftain MK10 might be a little too much for them. But I think if my ally had probably pushed forward a little, and if he had any tank, he would have been able to destroy those Chieftain MK10 fairly easily by doing a side shot. Nonetheless, my Recon tank are managing to push forward despite enemy airstrike. Very strong airstrike, by the way. But we did kill the plane that did it, so it will never come back. Here I'm actually bringing some infantry, which proved to be an excellent choice. Because as you can see now, my Recon tank are starting to suffer quite a bit. They're all dying. And also they are in a kind of crossfire between those chieftain and whatever is in there. So moving in with my infantry. As soon as I disembark, these are elite infantry. So you can see that they purely and simply destroy all the vehicle in there, as well as whatever infantry was showing up. Now the rest of my Recon just fold. And I called in my SPW command vehicle to ensure that the enemy will not be able to, first of all, call in airstrike, and secondly, call more vehicle. Now, Chieftain MK5 are dying to my Yuk Jeondai, and you can see how effective those anti-tank are. Also, on top of that, I'm capturing an FOB, which will ensure that there is indeed more ammo for my troops, although they're panicked, which is not particularly practical. I'm calling in some Mi-24 VP because I'm mostly expecting a big tank counterattack or something like that. It turned out not to be the best decision because there was some Chieftain marksman over there. Very good anti-air. So they create a kind of ballet for my troops. Also there was a few BO-105P BHS, which are air-to-air, that managed to kill my choppers. So they did a very good move here. Calling in more choppers, but I'm keeping them further back with the hope that, first of all, they'll be able to shoot the enemies, which is the case here. This Recon chopper is shooting down the anti-air over there. While the presence of my chopper here did attract the enemy air-to-air units that were ultimately shot down by our anti-air deployment there. Also have some Mi-2 to support my advance, while my my elite infantry there are continuing to kill everything on their way. The main problem I have is those chieftain, which are really far. And now they're trying to do an airstrike to kill a potential command vehicle, and my anti-air OSA and HQ-61 or HQ-7 shut down both Mirage. Now here I did move my command vehicle in that corner because I knew that they will expect us to potentially put it there where there's a way to pull back or not being spotted. But by putting it on their side, you cannot really expect somebody to put their command vehicle on your side, so you'll think that they'll put it where it's safe, and it wasn't safe, but turned out to be safer. While these infantry are still proving their worth, killing all the Fusilier and also being supported by Mi-24 VP. But now I'm pushing my luck, and it's clear that these buildings are filled with anti-air. Just look at the amount of missile coming from there. So that's forcing me to pull back a little my chopper, or do I? Now you can see how those chieftain are now killing my poor little elite troops there. Nonetheless, they still kill the infantry in there. But it's clear that right now I do not have any means to support against those chieftain. This place is filled with anti-air infantry. So I'm in a position where I need to rebuild my force a little if I want to continue. So I'm spreading out my elite infantry over there. But sadly that's not necessarily a good idea. Because the enemy is coming with warrior troop transport. So they have autocannon, very good unit to deal with infantry. Nonetheless, the remaining 5 soldiers are still able to put a fight, but as soon as they get spotted, those Chieftain MK-10 are taking care of them. So the plan of putting a hay around here did prove to be very useful. I did kill a lot of planes, and I think that's the important part. Now more players of my side seem to have left. I'm not sure why. It's probably because in 10 versus 10 what usually happens is that some people try it out. They just don't have the CPU necessary to run the game with so many units. So they end up desyncing and quitting. Here my ally decided to push into Dimitri, which was a good choice. The only issue with that is we did not necessarily have the proper anti-air to support him. Probably should have moved my HQ-61 to at least intercept stuff over there, but it was too late. And now let's see the results. So I did nearly 5,000, but it's for 4,905 points of kill, and I lost 3,215, so that was a pretty good round. If we look at what did HQ7, so that's my Crotal, did kill 2 BO 105 PBH and Tiger, that's early at the beginning. Shinhun killed infantry here, and Mi-24 did very well. They did kill a lot of MX-30 and infantry, as well as Roland 2 here. So that's a good that was a good move early on. This Shinhun did kill a lot of Milan vehicle tank. Oh, this one is a really hero. For the price, it cost 25 and it killed all this. That's a lot of score. This other one did as well. G7, that's a plane. Killed a few infantry. MiG-21 did kill an anti-air. Another tank, Sin-Hun, did kill anti-air. Mi-2 mostly killed transport choppers. Sin-Hun did kill more infantry, Milan. So a lot of German stuff here. Mi-24, Dornier. More choppers here, more troop transport here, as well as tow. HQ7 did kill a Tornado IDS, which is a seed plane, so a very good kill. That's worth a lot. Peace Rhine, also a good kill. Alpha Jet, good kill. Not that expensive though. Here, Sinhun Chieftain. MiG-29, so this MiG-29 did kill an air-to-air F4F, so a German F4F. Su-27 killed a Chieftain Marksman and an Harrier, so that wasn't a particularly good deal. But it wasn't my troop in the first place. My elite infantry did kill a lot here. SAS, Chieftain MK5, Chieftain MK5, Fallschirmjäger, Lynx, Fallschirmjäger. So these are probably the ones which were in the zone to my left that we captured prior to attacking the last zone in the rear. T-34, these are the troops I received, so they did kill a few infantry, but nothing particularly important. More elite troops here, Falcon, Chieftain, Lynx. That was very good. More Chieftain, command vehicle, Chieftain. Chieftain are tanks which are really reliable for defensive purpose, and while they do not have amazing stats, they are really able to endure punishment. So it's a good defensive tank. The only downside to it is the slow rate of fire. So my Recon tank here did kill Roland. These are worth a lot. Recon, Falcon, they mostly killed the anti-air and Recons, and some troop transport. Command vehicle, tow. Okay, my OSA AKM, that's my anti-air from the Czech. They did kill an F4F Peace Rhine, Mirage. So 3 good kills here. Recon tank, so a lot of troop transport, infantry, Chieftain MK5. Okay, well, my elite unit at the end, you can see how good they did. A lot of warrior, Chieftain, Javelin, warrior, FV 432, Fusilier, Chieftain, Fusilier. So troop transport here, pretty good move. HQ7, 2 Mirage, another, well, these two are also expensive. That's the 2 other infantry that were part of my group that did clear all the forests toward the end. So more Chieftain, BU, so that's the anti-air chopper, Javelin, Chieftain, Warrior. So a lot of very good units here. My Recon chopper killed anti-air, FOB, and what's the troop transport for my last Mi-24 VP, so it wasn't really worth it. And here I have a T-55L, which is probably a troops I received from somewhere, only killed 2 chasseurs, but that's okay. Mostly lost my stuff to Caesar, which are artillery. Chieftain, Stormer are about 80 GM units and anti-air, similar to the ADAT. Tornado, okay. Dornier, Caesar, more artillery essentially. Artillery. Anti-air did kill 2 of my MiG-21, which I did not really show you. So 2 planes. Okay, Chieftain did kill a lot of my troops. It's a lot of Chieftain which killed everything. And that's pretty much it. So in this battle, when we look at the score, I did most of the job myself. Black Saw did well. The Bruce did well also. He was with me. He's the guy that was helping me during this battle. He did very good. And the enemy team did pretty even. So ultimately I killed 24% of whatever we killed here. So that was a pretty good run. I think it's a good illustration of how to use this motorized deck. And well, I will say that the motorized Pact deck is probably better for town fight. I think this video probably illustrates that you can also use it into open environment. Of course, it depends what kind of enemy you're facing, but I think it can be very reliable, especially early on in the battle. So I hope you enjoyed this one. If you have any requests of deck that you would like to see explained or built for you, feel free to ask. And if you enjoy this and you have some friends which you might think are interested in that game, you probably should share this series of guide with them so that they'll be at least as good as you, or maybe even as good as me and better than me, I hope, because I'm not that amazing, you know, despite what everybody think. Anyway, so I'll see you around.